Welcome to the bold analysis. The Kenyan candidate Raila Odinga arrived in Addis Ababa on Wednesday night, where the foreign ministers are currently gathered for the Executive Council meeting ahead of the high-stakes election this weekend. His two rivals from Djibouti arrived in the Ethiopia capital earlier on Tuesday. And before that, I realized that Raila Odinga wrapped his campaigns with a visit to Burundi to meet Evariste Ndayishimiye. And according to these photos you can see, Raila Odinga made this visit. The visit while to Burundi, while visiting AUC, and the questions is about why visit Burundi, a country within the East African community that Kenya that had already pledged to support Raila Odinga. Does it add a new vote, and is it just a signal of panic? Dr. Michael Ngalawa has asked me that question. Why go to Burundi instead of Tunisia, instead of a far-end country, instead of a Togo, instead of a Sierra Leone? Why Burundi? Burundi is East Africa, so Burundi ought to have supported Raila by then. And it's showing a very significant panic that probably is Raila sure of the commitments from East Africa that they're going to support his bid. Odinga moved across the continent with luxurious flights, of course, trying to push his way. Now, something interesting about this trip to Bujumbura, he went to Bujumbura before flying all the way to Addis Ababa. Now, sources in Bujumbura say that Baba went to Ngozi, had to fly all the way to Ngozi to follow Evariste Ndayishimiye, and that is northern part of Burundi, even though they were supposed to meet in Bujumbura. But Ndayishimiye left the city where they were scheduled to meet with Raila, and Raila followed him. But of course, ultimately, they met. Now, this election is very critical. And between today to Sunday, exclusively in this podcast, I will be giving you every minute alert about what is happening. I believe that for the first time, I might also live stream that session so that we get to understand what exactly is going on there. I'm really glad. I'll be glad you get the live feed of what's happening on the other end. Some interesting takes I would want us to make about this. First, Kenya is paying attention to the African Union Commission chair post, but there's some key election and appointments taking place on this 46th ordinary session of the African Union that I want us to pay attention to because they have a bearing to what is happening. So make sure you watch this podcast so that you get to understand what exactly is going on. But before that, I need to remind you about our project to support Josephine Wambua. We closed it on Wednesday morning. So we closed it at 157,000. I already sent my team to Kayole, so they spent better part of Wednesday with her. Of course, they had to move her to some other place because where she used to stay also was far end, haikuwa hata place mzuri. So she's been moved somewhere. Then the business is also going to be set up by tomorrow. I think preparations are going on. So immediately all that is done, I will be able to give you full updates. So thank you very much for those who showed up. Yeah, asanteni sana. Election of 6 AU commissioners. Pay attention to that because commissioners is going to work with the chair. It is very impractical for a commissioner to come from the country where there is a chair of the commission. It is not very possible. Not that it is illegal, but it is not very possible. In fact, probably is not even allowed. Election of 5 members of Peace and Security Council members, 5 members. I'm going to give an update about that. Appointment of 1 African Space Agency member. Election of Vice President of the Pan-African University Council. Election of 5 AU Advisory Board against corruption members. Election of 5 AU Commission on International Law members. And election of 1 African Committee of Expertise on Rights and Welfare of the child member. This election, pay attention to this, because it is through this that Kenya is going to navigate, and that is why I want to take time to see what's happening there, and we'll make some good projections about it. Now, some developments that are going on there that is having a significant bearing on the outcome of the ultimate vote on Saturday. Amani Africa is reporting that Tome and Principe, Sao Tome and Principe, has just settled their dues, and they are going to vote as a country in the AU chair election. Initially, and now this development has increased the threshold of 2/3 majority from 32 to 33. So let me explain. Africa had 55 countries, and this country, this Sao Tome, is the smallest country in the continent. It's actually an island on the side of Atlantic Ocean. Yes, on the side of Atlantic Ocean, speaking Portuguese also. So it borders the other side of Equatorial Guinea. So it has been given its voting rights. So the other African, initially the continent had 55 countries. So this other country is amongst those ones that had been expelled because of paying their dues. They had not paid with the other Sahel. So they paid this time when this election is there, and so they're going to vote. So that means to you to receive 2/3, you need 2/3 of 50, not 2/3 of 49. Now that has increased the number of votes needed for the next AU chair to 33 and not 32. Question. That has been done critically for the AU chair. Who has paid for them? Diplomats are asking that probably some country can offer to pay so that to lobby for that vote. Who is that country? That's a question we are going to answer. Djibouti refuted some language in Arabic that their candidate had withdrawn from the race. And they've done that post in Arabic language. There was some report that had been shared by some Arabic news outlet that the Djibouti candidate had withdrawn from the race, and they refuted that claim, opting to type in Arabic. This is what it's saying. This is what they did. Djiboutian Foreign Minister AUC candidate refutes in Arabic claims of withdrawing from the race in favor of Raila Odinga, following reports by an Arabic media outlet. So is someone decampaigning the Djibouti candidate? Now, let's look at this. Musalia Mudavadi arrived in Addis, and of course, defending the Kenyan, the discussions about financial use, expenditure on that, and MPs flying. And the government keeps on saying, we are on track, Raila is going to win. But what I'm going to show you next will actually confirm my stand that it is not just enough to sell hope. And Ruto and the team knows that to Raila Odinga constituency, when you sell for them that hope, that is what they want. So let me
unfortunate question, because we are trying to dig for a negative. I want to clarify. We are looking for a negative here. All right? This is an important summit, an election summit. All right? This summit is about electing the new AUC chair and other factors. The government delegation has always been led by the President of the Republic of Kenya, President Ruto, and I am the Minister for Foreign Affairs. All right? And we have officials from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs who anchor this process, and we have a mission here. So, for all intents and purposes, our delegation is not extraordinary. All right? We are conscious of the economic situation in Kenya, and I want Kenyans to appreciate this. All right? So we have a lean delegation coming here. The Kenyans who are coming, the ones who are being highlighted by yourselves, all right, is the free media in Kenya talking about people who are coming out of the evolution. It's not an expenditure from the government of Kenya. All right? These are people who have decided, because of their patriotism, they want to cross over from a neighboring country to come here to have an opportunity to give moral support to the Kenyan candidate, the Honorable Raila Odinga. Period.
Finally,
yes.
Let me look at it this way. On this election, I mentioned you those positions. South Africa, South Africa's Leranto Mataboge secured the infrastructure and energy seat with a resounding 41 seats, defeating Cameroon's Marie Nyakoko. 41 against, they got 41 against Cameroon's candidate. That was also another seat that was another seat that was being fought. Now, what is interesting about this? Kenya supported Gabon's Jinping in that election. So 41 African countries voted for South Africa. Alafu sisi, Kenya, we voted for a candidate from Gabon who did not make it. Are we aligning right? Are we aligning right? We are supposed to align by the South Africa on that side. I don't know why we are not. We opted to support Gabon. Some missteps. We have had some missteps there. Nigeria. Now, there is one of the most interesting one is this one. Nigeria's Bankole Adoye secured a decisive victory to retain the coveted political affairs, peace and security position after clinching two-thirds majority in the first round, defeating Central African Republic's candidate Jean-Jacques Demafoth. Kenya here supported Nigeria. The most contentious one that is also interesting and I want us to pay attention is, I told you their position for African Union Commission for National Security Council or something. This one is very critical. This is the number 2 in that list. You see the election of 5 members of Peace and Security Council. Member Peace and Security Council. Now, this is very critical because at the time the continent is going for this election, the war in DRC is at the center of this election. And I want to tell you how it played out. In this election, Ethiopia secured a seat on that council, winning 38 votes against Somalia that received 10. Rwanda received 1, and that 1 vote is just their vote. Just out of the continent, it's only one country that voted for Rwanda on matters of peace. Remember, Rwanda is being, there is a narrative that has, there is the truth that Rwanda is supporting M23 rebels in DR Congo. So they also looking for that seat. Of course, Kagame was in Doha, Qatar. They're looking for that seat. Only one vote for Rwanda. Now, Rwanda's defeat in the bid to secure a seat on the AU Peace and Security Council, in the final round of voting, Rwanda received only one vote. Moja. Now, that shows you the kind of hostility that Rwanda is facing. So those who associate with Rwandan President Kagame needs to be very careful, and one of them is our president. Morocco blocks Algeria's bid for a seat at the African Union Peace and Security Council. Now, the two rivals of Morocco and Algeria. Algeria secured 30 votes, Morocco 15. No quorum reached. Remember, the quorum is now on that election is actually 32, forcing a postponement. So what happened? What happened on this is, in the final round, Morocco withdrew from that. And in fact, it is reported that Algerian government's Gulfstream jet departed Addis Ababa, likely heading back to Algiers. On board is presumed to be the foreign minister, following Algeria's failed bid for the African Union Peace and Security Council seat. Its rival Morocco effectively blocked the effort with the last round abstentions, forcing a postponement. Ili abstain. But then, when someone abstains, hey, hiyo kura inaisha. Kupata 2/3, lazima upate, na usipopate inakuwa postponed. Eswatini clinches the Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy and Sustainable Development Commissioner seat, beating Congo Brazzaville. Zimbabwe finishes second last, with Burundi at the bottom. Bwana, hii ndio kweli. The East African countries are not doing well. This one was interesting. Look at Rwanda. Of course, Rwanda with the DRC shenanigan is so much soiled. Mekosa. Bottom here, Burundi is also coming bottom here. Zimbabwe, Congo Brazzaville is not the Congo that is fighting. The other Congo failed. Zimbabwe, where the chair of SADC comes from, failed. Mambo ni kubaya. What am I saying from this election? Kenya's stand on DRC is a very delicate matter on Raila's election. And why I'm saying this, look at these two outcomes. South Africa won a seat 38 against 10. 41 against 8, rather. We never supported South Africa. I don't know why. Rwanda was seeking a seat, African Union Peace and Security Council. They have failed, only getting their vote. Those who support Rwanda on DRC, we must be very careful. We must be very careful. Tomorrow I have another analysis on this, and I will explain to you how it's really bringing a problem. Now, the other issue, the other observation I'm making is about this. The North African division between Algeria and Morocco will be an interesting factor on Saturday. Why? Algeria is seeking a vice chairperson seat. Today, they wanted to be a commissioner, and I'm wondering, why did they want the commission? Why did they want to have a commissioner? And at the same time, they're looking for the vice chair of the commission. They have a candidate, and when Raila was launching his bid in Addis Ababa, that was somewhere in October, their candidate was in Addis Ababa with Raila Odinga. So if that division is going to happen, it's going to be a critical matter. It's going to be a critical decider on that election. Number 3. It is not enough for Musalia Mudavadi to carry the biggest delegation from Kenya. It is not enough to run media campaign of Raila is winning. Kenya must settle down with the software. You need to question, who paid for Sao Tome Principle? Of course, it's known. It was paid for them so that they can go for this election. Did Kenya pay for them, or did the other candidate pay for them? Who paid for them? Kenya do not have an embassy there. Djibouti have an embassy there. That is what I realize. Go and do your research. Kenya do not have an embassy in Sao Tome and Principe, that country that I'm telling you joined. Djibouti have a candidate. So have an embassy there. So we must be very careful. And that country is colonized by Portuguese, Angola, and Portuguese in a border hapa Angola. So mambo ni mingi, masando machache. Kenya diplomatic team must be very strategic on how we navigate our way on these other 6 elections. Otherwise, we might spoil the celebration for Raila. In this channel, if you ask me, I want to tell you, I want Raila Odinga to go to AU. And for me, I'm looking at it not on his competence to deliver at AU. I might have my own doubts with that. But those who think Raila going is going to fix their politics locally, I want Raila to go. And I will tell you tomorrow why Raila exiting this Kenyan political space is going to be the blessings on this case. So many things are going to change. So many things. You'll be shocked on what will happen in 2027. Thank you.